What if Hollow Knight was in Demon Slayer? What would the Hollow Nest's empty knight do against the Onis? Would this quiet warrior join the Oni hunters? Or would Muzan try to corrupt him and make him an unstoppable weapon? Look, the empty knight is not just a mysterious figure with a blade nailed to his hands. He comes from a lineage made to imprison his world's infection, carrying an ancient, dark, and destructive power within. But can the empty knight rival the Onis? Especially the superior lights. Note that, despite his size, he is incredibly fast and tough in the game universe. He is able to withstand legendary warriors like Ornette, face deities and Godmaster, and even confront Radiance itself, the embodiment of light. His small size can be deceiving in the game. Hollow Knight can move at speeds comparable to 20 meters per second. When combined with the DASH Master and Monarch wings, this brings him to near Hashira level in Demon Slayer for both movement and strength. Even without words, the nail is lethal. Hollow Knight is capable of destroying enemies that have thousands of hit points with quick strikes. At max level, they average 15 to 21 damage per hit, repeated at intervals of just 0.25 seconds translated to Demon Slayer. We're talking about an almost constant barrage of strikes, rivaling even the fury of Zenitsu in his thunder breathing. But unlike the swordsman, the knight is consistent. He doesn't rely on bursts of energy. He keeps up this pace until the end. But after all, how did he end up in this universe? During the final battle against Radiance, the light that was supposed to seal him is distorted, creating a dimensional rift. Instead of being consumed, the knight wakes up in a forest in Japan in the middle of the night. Hollow Knight appears in a dense forest, similar to Green Path, but with a suffocating and evil atmosphere. Mount Natagumo. For him, who has already wandered ruins filled with beasts and corrupted warriors, the environment brings recognition, not fear. Just like in Hollow Nest, the darkness calls him to fight. When Inosuke is trapped by the demon spider father, the little warrior steps in. Hollow Knight pushes him back, giving Inosuke room to breathe. His strength is compact, equal to shocks of hundreds of kilos. It's impactful in the game. He can destroy walls and armored enemies with basic attacks. This impact, even without decapitating, is enough to stun Oni and temporarily break their bones. Inosuke, startled by the creature, isn't sure if it's a friend or foe. Taking advantage of the opening from his beast breathing, he repeatedly strikes the Oni's body. Hollow Knight, in turn, fires the Vengeful Spirit spell, blowing up half of the demon spider father's body. Inosuke then jumps onto the body and, with a cross slash of his Nichiren blades, decapitates the Oni in one go. The result is unexpected. For the first time, Inosuke feels that he didn't win alone, but through cooperation. He looks at the silent creature beside him, not understanding its nature, a demon too small, a hunter without speech. The questions remain unanswered. Tomioka soon arrives at the battlefield. When he sees Hollow Knight with its empty eyes and a body that doesn't resemble a human at all, the water Hashira immediately assumes it's an unknown demon. He readies his sword to decapitate him without pause. Inosuke hesitates, still confused. The creature had just helped him, but at the same time, its monstrous appearance made it suspicious. Hollow Knight doesn't react with hostility, only silently dodges Tomioka's attacks, using an ability similar to Shade Cloak, passing through the attacks as if intangible for fractions of a second. This only increases Tomioka's distrust, who had never seen anything like it, and makes him believe he was facing an Oni. As Tomioka readies his final attack to behead the strange creature, Inosuke uses his instincts to stop him. He steps between them, shouting that this thing fought by his side against the Spider Father, and that if it were an Oni, it would have already tried to devour him. Tomioka, surprised by Inosuke, hesitates briefly. This moment shifts the battle on Mount Natagumo. Noticing the conflict, Hollow Knight silently turns to Tanjiro's side of the field. The young man was about to be crushed by Rui's bloody threads, unable to escape. At this point, Inosuke and Tomioka choose to follow the creature despite their doubts. This is easily the most unlikely trio you'll see today. The three run through the mountain, Tomioka to face Rui, Inosuke to protect his companion, and Hollow Knight to clear the way. With his stinger, Hollow Knight cuts through the webs that were trapping Tanjiro, attacking with precision and freeing him just in time to breathe. Tomioka then performs his water-breathing technique, decapitating Rui and ending the confrontation. Hollow Knight wasn't responsible for the victory, But without him, Tanjiro would never have held out until the Hashira arrived. But fate still has one more turning point in store. When Shinobu and Kanao arrive at the scene, their mission is clear: to decapitate Nezuko. But the moment Shinobu moves forward, Hollow Knight steps in front, blocking her path. Needle raised. Kanao, trained to react, doesn't hesitate and unleashes quick slashes, while Shinobu releases her venomous technique. But the creature resists. Hollow Knight doesn't attack to kill, only repels the blows, dodging with quick jumps and counterattacking to push them back. Tomioka intervenes again, putting an end to the confrontation. And this gesture marks the beginning of something greater. But why is Hollow Knight helping the hunters, including Nezuko? Even without speaking, Hollow Knight shows a purpose. He feels that his presence in this world is tied to the fate of the hunters. It's as if helping those warriors is the key to returning to Hollow Nest after the events on Mount Natagumo. Hollow Knight, Tanjiro, Nezuko, and the hunters are brought to Ubuyashiki's mansion. Tomioka, who had witnessed the creature's intangible abilities up close, reports what happened to the other Hashiras. To him, Hollow Knight seemed like an Oni, but oddly, it didn't devour humans. The confusion grows when Tanjiro tries to defend the creature, stating that it protected other hunters during the battle and never showed any desire to attack people. Sanemi, impatient, tests it in one motion, slashing at Hollow Knight. However, the creature dodges with incredible speed, vanishing briefly and reappearing behind the Hashira, showing it's not just an ordinary animal or Oni. This moment makes everyone step back. Was the creature fast enough to rival the Hashira? But it didn't show any intention to fight, it just remained silent and motionless, as if it were waiting for a purpose. Ubuyashiki, after hearing all the reports, decides that Hollow Knight will be kept under observation. Just like Nezuko, he considers him an outlier, an element that could change the course of the battle against Muzan. His order is clear: don't attack the creature unless it's proven dangerous. To help them in the battle against the Onis, Ubuyashiki wants to coat the Hollow Knight's stinger with the same material used to make the Nichiren, that is, the Sunstone. To enable the Silent Knight to decapitate the Onis, Ubuyashiki places Hollow Knight under Flame Hashira Kyojuro Rengoku's watch. There, alongside Tanjiro and Nosuke Zenitsu, they embark on the Mugen train mission, where they will face Enmu, the Lower Moon, during the battle against Enmu. While the hunters dream, Hollow Knight stays immune. In the original game, he is described as an empty shell, lacking mind or desires, created only as a vessel. This absence of emotions makes Enmu's dream spells have no effect on him. While Tanjiro and the others struggle to wake up, Hollow Knight moves through the innards of the train at his absurd speed, destroying Enmu's flesh connections with his stinger. When Tanjiro and Nosuke finally wake up, they find Hollow Knight already piercing the core of demonic flesh, making way for the final blow, decapitating Enmu. However, the greatest challenge is yet to come. Upper Moon 3. Will the Silent Knight be able to defeat the house and save Rengoku from his imminent death? Before I tell you, use your subscriber's breath to like this video, subscribe to the channel. Legend says only subscribers can become as powerful as Yoriichi. Now look, in the fight between Rengoku and the house, Hollow Knight jumps in as support. While Rengoku used his overwhelming strength, the little warrior created openings, piercing the regenerated limbs of the Oni and slowing down its recovery. In terms of speed, Hollow Knight was able to keep up with the house in the fight. With the DASH and wing upgrades, his movements reach hypersonic levels, comparable to the attacks of the Upper Moons, and this allows him to interfere at critical moments. Tanjiro and his friends can only watch since they're not able to react to such movements. They know that if they get in the middle of the battle, they'll only get in the way. As the house readies to strike Rengoku, Hollow Knight lunges at the Oni's arm, piercing it with his solar nail. This gives Rengoku time to counterattack with his breathing technique. The battle goes on until sunrise, and unlike the original timeline, Rengoku survives. The house, even though wounded, manages to escape upon sensing the first rays of light, fleeing to report to Muzan that a new mysterious warrior had appeared, a silent creature capable of decapitating the Onis. Muzan does not accept Akaza's failure and, through Nisko's gaze, sends the Oni for a rematch against the Empty Knight. In the entertainment district, after all, the one who was watching Hollow Knight while Rengoku recovers is Tengen Uzui. the Sound Hashira. Is it possible for the hunters to survive against two upper moons? That's what you'll see when the hunters face the pair of upper moons, Daki and Gyutaro. Unlike the original story, Hollow Knight is by their side from the beginning, completely changing the dynamics of the battle. While Daki unleashes her sharp sashes to annihilate Zenitsu and Inosuke, it's Tanjiro who leads the pair against the Oni. Meanwhile, Uzui and Hollow Knight fight against Gyutaro. Immune to toxins, the Hollow Knight blocks the Oni's poisoned attacks with his solar nail and projectiles, reducing Gyutaro's regenerative pace and giving Uzui room to counterattack. The hunters push Gyutaro to the limit. At the climax, when the Oni siblings are about to be defeated, Akaza suddenly appears on the battlefield. His entrance is devastating. With his hypersonic speed and overwhelming strength, he interrupts Uzui's final attack against Gyutaro and puts everyone in danger. This is where Hollow Knight takes the front line. His speed, already compared to that of a Hashira, is now tested against one of the greatest warriors in Muzan's army. Hollow Knight holds his ground by blocking Akaza's attacks and, in critical moments, dodging his strikes with the Shade Clock ability. Still, the strength gap is overwhelming. Before Gyutaro can interfere in the Kamado squad's fight against his sister, Daki, Uzui recovers and fights Gyutaro alone, not poisoned and with his arm intact. He has a better chance of defeating the Oni in this situation than he did alongside Tanjiro in the original story, where he was weakened. The battles drag on. Each hunter is busy with their own opponent. But it is at this moment that Open-Eye Guru, the Serpent Hashira, appears. With precise moves and unexpected slashes, he fights beside Hollow Knight. The little warrior creates openings with his bursts of energy and quick jumps. Meanwhile, Open-Eye takes advantage of these openings with his Nichirin, using serpentine movements to decapitate Akaza. It wasn't an easy battle, but Akaza is defeated. Out of energy, Open-Eye faints and Hollow Knight runs to help Uzui decapitate Gyutaro. When Inosuke beheads Daki, the Oni siblings are defeated. But look, Tanjiro doesn't awaken the Slayer mark and his sword isn't broken, which completely changes the course of the future. Without his sword breaking, Tanjiro doesn't need to travel to the Swordsmith village. This means that when Gyoko and Hantengo attack, he isn't there. Mitsuri and Mutsuru, without the support of Tanjiro and Nisko, don't stand a chance. Mutsuru doesn't awaken his mark and is cruelly killed by Gyoko, while Mitsuri, without reinforcements, is overpowered and killed by Zohakuten. The village is destroyed, and Nichiren's sword production ends permanently. The Yoni's Hunters Corps, already with few warriors, can no longer recruit or equip new hunters. Realizing that the balance of the war was tipped in his favor, Muzan decides to act personally. The loss of the Swordsmith village meant the collapse of the Corps' structure. To finally put an end to those who caused casualties in his Yonis army every day and night, Muzan decides to appear at the Hunters' headquarters himself. Kaguya anticipated this, so he had already put the Hashiras in training. Hollow Knight and the Hashiras are drawn into the Infinite Castle. There, Hollow Knight, alongside Sanemi and Gyomei, face Kokushibo, the Upper Moon One, together. The battle is not easy, but thanks to Hollow Knight's powers, when Gyomei holds Kokushibo so that the spell, the Spirit of Vengeance, can descend, Oni Kokushibo perishes by the power of the Void Knight, with Rengoku in the Infinite Castle and at home. Defeated, the battle for the others would be easier, but it would still cause many casualties among the hunters. When Nakimi is defeated, the Infinite Castle collapses. The difference is clear before the King of the Onis. While the Hashiras struggle to survive, Hollow Knight keeps Muzan restrained, cutting every whip of flesh and ignoring each blow. The knight keeps moving forward, never stopping with his awakened mark. Tanjiro helps with all his strength. When the sun rises, the King of Demons is destroyed not by human hope, but by the silence of a being born to seal darkness. When Muzan is destroyed, Hollow Knight's body emits the same light that brought him to Japan. The energy particles around the knight form a luminous rift, slowly sucking him in. Without a word, Hollow Knight was returning to Hollow Nest, exactly to the point where he should have been sealed, as if nothing had changed. A silent hero who crossed worlds to fulfill his duty and return to his dark kingdom to continue his eternal vigil. But what about you? What did you think of Hollow Knight's presence in this Demon Slayer universe? Which character do you think could appear next in this universe? Comment below. Check out this video I picked for you. I guarantee you won't regret it. See you there, Otaku Culture.